Welcome back to Aether and Ash, where every story begins with a spark and drifts into the unknown. If this is your first time here, welcome, and if you joined us before, thank you for returning to the fire. Your time, your attention, and your curiosity are what keeps these stories alive. Before we begin tonight's tale, I'd like to ask for a small favor. If you enjoy the stories shared here, please take a moment to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who might enjoy sitting by the fire with us as well. It truly helps this channel grow and allows more stories to find their way into the world. I'd also love to hear from you. When the story ends, leave a comment and let me know what you enjoyed, what stood out to you, and even what you think could be improved. Your feedback helps shape the stories that come next. Now, settle in, let the world grow quiet, and let the embers glow. Tonight's story begins now. The moment Nixara pulled the final thread from the dying merchant's lie shadow, the entire marketplace froze, and every mirror in the city of Valus cracked at once, screaming her real name in a voice that belonged to no one living. Nixara's fingers were still wet with stolen silhouette when the mirrors shattered. She stood in the heart of Valus Market, surrounded by overturned stalls of spice mirror, fruit, and silver-threaded silks. The merchant, a portly man whose lie shadow had grown fat on false promises, lay on the cobblestone, his true shadow now thin and trembling like a candle in wind. She had done what she always did, cut the lie away, weave it into her own cloak of living darkness, and leave him lighter, freer, closer to who he really was. She never asked permission, she never left a choice. The Veil Realm had always rewarded such precision. Here, every soul walked with two shadows. The true one clung close, honest and small. The lie one stretched long and proud, feeding on every half-truth, every vanity, every convenient forgetting. Most people preferred the lie shadow. It made them taller, richer, loved. Nixara's purpose was simple. She was the last puppeteer who still dared to trim them back. She wove the severed lies into new silhouettes for the shadowless, the rare, tragic few born without any shadow at all. They paid in memories. She accepted only the painful ones. But tonight the price had changed. The cracks raced across every mirror in Valus. Shop windows, polished breastplates, the great silver sky itself. Each fracture spoke in unison. Nixara. Not the stage name she used in back alleys, her true name, the one she had buried the day she first touched a lie, shadow, and realized she could never stop. The crowd scattered. Merchants clutched their lie shadows protectively. Children hid beneath their mothers' elongated dark shapes. Only Nixara remained still, cloak of woven silhouettes rippling around her like a living thing. She felt the pull immediately. Something inside her own shadow was waking up, something hungry. She fled. Through the winding streets of Valus, where buildings were built upside down so their reflections could live on the mirrored sky, she ran. Her true shadow stayed tight to her heels. Her lie shadow, the one she had never trimmed from herself, stretched ahead, guiding her steps with practiced arrogance. Behind her, the plague followed. It had no name yet. People would later call it the merging. Where it passed, true and lie shadows fused. The result was neither honest nor false, just blank. People woke up the next morning with no shadow at all, no memory of who they had been, no desire to be anybody. They became perfect, empty reflections. The mirror sovereign collected them like trophies. Nixara had seen the first case 3 weeks ago in the outer districts. She had assumed it was another one of the sovereign's games. She had even trimmed a few merged shadows trying to separate them. But the threads had burned her fingers and whispered back in her own voice, "You started this." She refused to believe it then. Now, racing across the glass bridge that spanned the mirror lake, she could no longer deny it. Her own lie shadow was growing. Every time she cut someone else's lie away, her own grew heavier, darker, more alive. It was feeding, and tonight it had finally spoken her name aloud. She needed answers. The only place left was the hollow library, the one structure in the Veil Realm that had no reflection at all. It existed only once, buried beneath the city in a cavern of absolute dark. No mirrors, no lies, only truth, raw and merciless. Nixara descended the spiral stairs carved from forgotten true shadows. The air grew thick, tasting of rust and old tears. At the bottom, the librarian waited, an ancient silhouette, so thin it was almost two-dimensional. Its face was a blank oval. It had given away every feature long ago in exchange for perfect recall. "You came," it said. Its voice was every voice that had ever lied and regretted it. "I wondered how long it would take you to admit the truth." Nyxara's hands shook as she unclasped her cloak. Thousands of stolen lie threads spilled across the floor like black rivers. "Tell me what I am." The librarian knelt and touched one thread. It sang. A single memory played in the dark. A little girl named Nyxara, no more than 7, standing before the Mirror Sovereign centuries ago. The Sovereign had offered her a gift, the ability to see every lie clearly. In return, she would become the realm's balance. She accepted, but the gift was poisoned. Every lie she trimmed from others rooted itself in her own shadow. The more she helped the realm stay honest, the more dishonest she herself became. Her lie shadow was not a shadow at all. It was the accumulated weight of every falsehood she had ever removed. And now it was ready to merge with her true self and finish what the Sovereign had begun centuries ago, a perfect, empty reflection that would replace the entire Vel realm. The librarian straightened. "You are the plague, Nyxara. The Sovereign never created the merging. You did. Every cut you made fed it. Every soul you saved became one step closer to emptiness." Nyxara felt the floor tilt beneath her. "Then I stop. I'll never cut another lie again." "Too late." The librarian pointed upward. Through the stone ceiling, they could somehow see the mirrored sky fracturing wider. "The merging has reached the palace. The Sovereign is preparing to collect every last shadowless soul, including yours. If you do nothing, the realm becomes one perfect mirror. No lies, no truth, only reflection." Nyxara's true shadow trembled against her feet. For the first time in centuries it spoke, not in words, but in a feeling. A memory she had never woven, the little girl she had been, laughing in the sunlight, casting only one small honest shadow, happy, imperfect, alive. She understood the choice now. She could run, hide in the dark, let the Sovereign win, or she could do the one thing no puppeteer had ever done, cut her own lie shadow free. She chose the blade. From her cloak she drew the silver shears, the only tool that could cut a puppeteer's own threads. They had been a gift from her mother, the day she accepted the Sovereign's bargain. She had never used them on herself. The librarian stepped back. "You will die." "Better than becoming nothing," Nyxara said. She knelt. Her lie shadow rose up eagerly, towering over her, wearing every face she had ever helped erase. It smiled with 1,000 stolen smiles. Nyxara opened the shears. The cut was not clean. It was agony. Thread by thread, memory by memory, she severed the lies. Each one burned as it left her. The false confidence she had given the frightened king, the vanity she had trimmed from a dying artist, the comforting deceptions she had woven for children who could not bear the truth. Every cut took a piece of her strength. Her true shadow grew brighter, smaller, more fragile. Above them the mirror sky screamed. The Sovereign felt it. The palace shook. Armies of perfect reflections marched toward the hollow library, empty-eyed duplicates of every citizen, carrying mirrored spears. Nyxara kept cutting. By the time the Sovereign's vanguard reached the cavern entrance, she had severed 9/10 of her lie shadow. What remained was a ragged, pathetic, small, thin, trembling. It looked almost like a child's shadow again. The Sovereign arrived in person. He was beautiful, in the way only perfect lies are, tall, flawless, every feature exactly what the viewer most wanted to see. But Nyxara saw him clearly now. Beneath the reflection was nothing, no true shadow, only the void that had once been a man who wanted to be loved by everyone. "You would destroy yourself to spite me?" he asked, voice like honey over broken glass. "I would destroy myself to save them," she answered. She made the final cut. The last thread snapped. Her lie shadow collapsed into black dust that scattered across the cavern floor. Nyxara fell with it, her true shadow now the only one she possessed, wrapped around her like a protective coat. She was weak, mortal, dying, but honest. The Sovereign reached for her, and stopped, because every mirror in the Vel realm, every fractured surface, every polished blade, every silver sky, suddenly showed the same thing, a single small and perfect shadow standing alone in the dark. The merging reversed. Truth and lie shadows separated across the realm. People gasped as their elongated lies shrank back to honest size. The shadowless began to grow new true shadows, tiny, fragile, but real. The armies of reflections shattered into glass rain. The sovereign screamed, the sound like every lie ever told being forced back into the throat that spoke it. His perfect form cracked. Beneath it was the small, frightened man he had been before he sought perfection. That man looked at Nyxara with something like gratitude. Then he vanished, not into reflection, into silence. Nyxara lay on the cold stone of the hollow library. The librarian knelt beside her. "You're dying," it said gently. "I know," she smiled. Blood, real blood, not silhouetted, touched her lips, but they are not. Above them, the mirror sky began to heal. Cracks sealed. The silver surface dimmed to soft gray. For the first time in recorded history, the Veil Realm had a true night. Stars appeared, real ones, not reflections. They were faint and perfect and beautiful. The librarian gathered the black dust of her old lie shadow. "What would you like me to do with this?" "Scatter it," Nyxara whispered. "Let every shadowless child find one thread. Let them weave their own lives when they need them. Let them choose." The librarian nodded. Nyxara's true shadow stretched out one final time, touching the librarian's blank face. It left a small, honest smile there, imperfect, crooked, alive. Then she closed her eyes. The Veil Realm did not mourn with silence, it mourned with sound. Every mirror that had cracked now rang like a bell. People across Valus and beyond stepped into the new night and looked at their single shadows on the ground. They were smaller, but they were enough. In the years that followed, the story spread. Children born without shadows were no longer pitied, they were celebrated, because somewhere in the dark a puppeteer had given them the right to choose their own lives, and the courage to trim them when they grew too heavy. And sometimes, on nights when the new stars shone especially clear, people would see a single small shadow moving across the silver sky. Not a lie, not a plague, just a reminder. The perfect reflections are never worth the cost of losing yourself. The honesty is painful, and that sometimes the bravest thing a shadow can do is refuse to lie.